Connecting the three-way switch junction box containing 4 cables, power in and out, light and switch. Sketch of the connection in the junction box and installation of the three-way switch. The standard 1-gang, 22.5 cubic inches, PVC switch junction box is too small to fit all the wires and switch. So a 4-inch square metal junction box of the appropriate depth was installed. 4-inch square metal junction box is installed. And 4 14-gauge NM, non-metallic sheathed, cables enter the junction box through an approved cable connectors. Push-in button type cable connector and 2 screws clamp cable connector. The cable must be long enough to be properly spliced and must be secured to the building structure within 12 inches of the cable entry into the junction box. Cables entering the junction box. 14. 3 nm cable to the second three-way switch. 14. 2 nm cable to the light outlet. 14. 2 nm cable from the power source. 14. 2 nm cable to another electrical outlet elsewhere. If necessary, mark the cables and remove the cable sheath. The cable sheath shall extend into the junction box no less than 1/4 inch. Hole for grounding screw installation. Grounding screw. Pre-install the grounding screw. Pre-installed grounding screw. 14, 3 and 14, 2 nm cable wires. White, neutral wire. Bare, ground wire. Black, hot wire. Red, second hot wire. Wrap the ground wire from one of the cables around the grounding screw and tighten the screw. Ground wire tightened with grounding screw. Green wire nuts, which should only be used to connect the ground wire. The green wire nut has a special hole at the top that allows the bare pigtail of the ground wire, one of the ground wires to be spliced, to be exposed for connection to an electrical device after splicing. Popular tan wire nut which that fits most connections. Group all ground, bare, wires together. Wrap the longer wire around the shorter ones, and trim the shorter wires to no less than 6 inches long. Longer wire wrapped around the shorter wires and shorter wires trimmed. Trimmed wires must be free at least 6 inches from the removed cable sheath. And the wires must extend at least 3 inches from the front of the junction box. The longer wire left for the pigtail must be long enough to be connected to the electrical device once spliced. Route the longest of the ground wires, bare, through the hole in the green wire nut and secure the wrapped wires with this wire nut. The connection is secured with a green wire nut, and the pigtail exits from the wire nut hole. 3 to 5 twists of wires are sufficient, as too many twists can damage the wires. Insert the ground wire connection into the junction box, leaving the pigtail wire outside the box. Ground wire connection inside the junction box, and its pigtail wire outside the box. Group the neutral wire, white, from the cable from the power source, the cable to another electrical outlet and the cable to the light outlet. Trim them to no less than 6 inches long and strip the insulation from the ends of the wires by about 1/2 inch. Wire ends stripped of insulation. Trimmed wires must be free at least 6 inches from the removed cable sheath, and the wires must extend at least 3 inches from the front of the junction box. Using pliers and a wire nut or just a wire nut, splice both wires and insert them into the junction box. Twisting the wire ends with pliers ensures a better connection. Wires connected and connection secured with wire nut. 3 to 5 twists of wires are sufficient, as too many twists can damage the wire insulation. Connected wires inside the junction box. Group the hot wire, black, from the cable from the power source, the cable to another electrical outlet and the cable to the other 3-way switch. Trim them to no less than 6 inches long. Strip the ends of the wires about 1/2 inch, splice them together and insert them into the junction box. The wire ends are stripped, connected with pliers to ensure a better connection, and a wire nut, and then inserted into the junction box. Use black electrical tape or other means to mark the white wire from the cable to the second 3-way switch as the hot wire, as that wire will no longer be a neutral wires in this cable. White wires from 3-way switch cables marked as hot. Group all wires and the ground pigtail wire together, trim them to no less than 6 inches long and insert them into the junction box. Trimmed wires inserted into the junction box. 1/2 inch raised mud ring. Install the mud ring onto the junction box. Junction box connection complete. To connect the 3-way switch, remove the wires from the junction box and strip the ends of the wires about 1/2 inch. Wires to be connected to the switch are stripped about 1/2 inch. Make a loop at the end of each wire. A loop is made at the end of each wire. Junction box wires to be connected to the 3-way switch. Ground wire, bare, that must be connected to the ground terminal of the switch, green screw. Hot wire, black, from the cable to the light outlet which must be connected to the hot common terminal of the switch. Hot wires, white marked hot and the red, from the cable to the second 3-way switch which must be connected to the hot traveler terminals of the switch in any order. 3-way switch, front view. 3-way switch, rear view. Ground wire terminal, green screw. Hot wire common terminal, black screw. Hot traveler wires terminals, gold screws. Connect the ground wire, bare, to the ground terminal of the switch, green screw. Ground wire connected. Connect the hot wire, black, from the cable to the light outlet to the hot common terminal of the switch. Wire connected. Connect one of the traveler wires, red in this example, from the cable to the second 3-way switch to one of the hot traveler terminal of the switch, gold screw. One of the traveler wires is connected. Connect the second traveler wire, white marked hot, from the cable to the second 3-way switch to the second hot traveler terminal of the switch, gold screw. Second traveler wire is connected. The hot traveler wires, white marked hot and the red, from the cable to the second 3-way switch, can be connected to the traveler terminals of the switch, gold screws, in any order. Insert the wires into the junction box. Make sure the ground wire does not touch any hot terminal of the switch. Secure the switch to the junction box and install the switch wall plate. If this video is helpful, please subscribe. Comments are welcome.